Welcome everybody again to another episode of Build with a Plan, how to build your business the right way. If you've been following along, there's a main reason why I am doing this podcast. It's because I've learned a lot of lessons the hard way over my 30 years of being an entrepreneur. And my hope here is that I can help you as a business owner, that you can avoid some of the pitfalls and the mistakes that I've made so that you don't need to pay the price that I paid. All right, enough about that. What do we want to talk about today? Well, today I want to talk about the other main downfall that I alluded to in my origin story in episode 1. I was talking about, one of course is the not having a plan. That is what inspired the title for this episode, not for this episode, for this podcast, Build with a Plan. Now, the second part of it is I define a successful business as a business that can run without your day-to-day input and that is profitable and that you are able to sell it without your day-to-day input. Okay, you've got a plan, it's profitable, and it can run without your day-to-day input. So what does that look like? Well, first of all, you need to have a plan. Funny enough, you have to have a plan. What does that look like? What is the goal that you're looking for? Are you looking to get to where you're not involved at all in your business? Or do you want to be involved maybe 10 hours a week? Just overseeing, making sure that your vision is being met. That is what you need to start with, is the goal. What do you want from your business? What does that look like? Again, are you working, 3 hours a day? Do you come in the morning, make sure everything's going the right way? Do you check in at the end of the day to make sure things have gone the way you want to? Or do you meet, you have meetings on Mondays, you meet with your key people and you make sure that the business is going to do what you want it to do that week, that everyone's held accountable, and that everyone's achieving the goals that they set out. Is that what you want it to be? Or do you want to be there, 4 or 5 times a week? Like I said, maybe working at other projects while you're in the office, but again, not involved in the day-to-day decisions so that you're able to have that business run. Here's the litmus test. Think about this. Can you go away from your business for 3 months and it not miss a beat? I know that sounds a little bit far-fetched, but that's what I suggest you shoot for. Get your business to a situation so that you can actually leave if you want for 3 months or not. Okay? That's what you need to be looking for. Now, once you've got the business to that level, then it's good. Then you know that you have a very viable, successful business so that you're able to sell it if you want to. It's in a position where you can transition it to a member of your family, or you can sell it potentially to one or some of your employees. That's what you really want to be looking for. Because in my opinion, if you don't have that type of business, you really own a job. And when the time comes for succession planning, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a long, arduous process to even get some value that you think is in the business. Or you're going to end up just selling it for what the customer list is worth. So what do you want to look like? What do you see your role in the business? That's what you want to do. And then you need to start small. What do you need to start putting in place? What can you hand off? What responsibilities? And more importantly, what decisions can you delegate to other people in your organization? This is what you want to be looking at. Start offloading some of those day-to-day decisions. Empower other people on your team to be able to make those decisions for the business. That's what you want to start doing in the beginning. What does that look like? Now you're gonna start analyzing your business. Do I have the staff? Do I have that person, that key person that can take on more of the roles, more of the role that you take, that you are as the business owner? And if you don't, do you need to hire that person? And if so, what criteria do you want that person to have? What skill set? Do they need to be from the industry, or do they just need to be a very good leader? That's what you need to be thinking about. What type of person do I need to hire to make sure that they're going to be able to carry on the delegation, the vision, more importantly, the vision and the accountability that you're bringing to the table? Now, the best way to do that is to make sure that you add value to your product or service. I know you're going to hear me talk about this a lot, but there are 3 key reasons why you want to make sure that you have value add to your product or service offering. And the first one is that it now becomes an apples to oranges comparison. Before, if you were delivering the same service or product as the competition, then all it comes down to is price. You got it. And typically, best price wins. Sometimes a relationship can play a bit of a factor, but bottom line is if there's no differentiating factor between your product or service and the competition's product or service, then price becomes the only way to do it. All right, so what does that mean? Well, it means you're adding other products, other services that bring value, that start solving other issues that your client has. You want to make sure that you're adding value. Whether it's, for an example, if you are a landscape business and you're cutting grass, do you offer as part of what you do that you pick up all the sticks that have fallen in the spring? Do you add weeding to their gardens? Do you bring in raking the leaves? You could even look at, do you wash the windows in the spring, in the fall? Like, what other services, tree pruning, watering the garden? Like, these are types of services that you could think of adding that your competition isn't already doing. And you bundle it into one package. That way, they're not looking at apples and apples. They're looking at apples and oranges. And why is that important? Well, a couple key factors is, as I mentioned before, it stands you apart. Price isn't the only factor anymore. And second of all, you become a leader in your industry because you're doing things that other people in your industry are not doing. You're the leader. And because you're adding more value and that you're a leader, you're able to charge more. And when you're charging more, typically because you're already there, you're being able to maximize your staff and your situation, typically means that you have more profit. And more profit gives you more flexibility. And that's where you want to go with the business. You want that flexibility. You want that extra profit to look at, okay, now what can I do? Do I need to hire another staff? Now you have the revenue to justify bringing in someone else to manage the business while you take a step back. Now, don't say that you take a step back far enough that your vision isn't part of the business. I think you still need to be the visionary for your business until the point where you've got it going to, it's steaming along really well and you don't really need to do much. Then you can step back. But you need to be the vision, and you need to be able to convey that vision to the people below you, your staff, right? The people that look up to you, you need to be letting them know why you're doing what you're doing. The vision can't be just about you making a ton of money and being able to get time off. You want to build a business that looks after the staff and it looks after the clients in such a way that it's a very symbiotic relationship so that everybody wins. That's what we want to look at, bringing more value to your clients, You've got more satisfied staff because you're able to pay them properly, and you've got more satisfied clients because you're solving more of their problems. And then the third part is you've got more profit in there, so you're able to hire the people to help take some of that load off of you. And that's what you need to be looking at, the flexibility of adding value to what you are offering right now. Now, it could look different for every business. And this is not a cookie cutter situation. This is definitely something that takes a lot of forethought. This is something that takes planning. It takes vision. It takes understanding your client. You have a primary problem that you're solving for your client. Going back to the landscape person, for example, their client wants their yard to look nice. And depending on what neighborhood you're in, the motivation could be slightly different. But the main problem that you're solving is having their lawn manicured, looking nice on a timely manner so that they don't have to worry about it. They come home, they like the way their house looks. They're not worried about the neighbors, thinking, why didn't they cut the grass? Are they too lazy? Do they not have enough time? Do they not respect the neighborhood? It doesn't matter what their thoughts are, but you're solving that problem, right? That's the main problem. But if they're busy enough that they can't cut the grass or they don't want to cut the grass, what else can you offer to add to that package? Now, that's something I want you to think about. But then again, the idea is to add value so that you can have that apples to oranges. You become the leader in your industry and you become more profitable, which gives you more flexibility. And that allows you, I know I've said this before, but that allows you to do what you want with the business to get you that financial freedom and the time freedom that most of us want when we started our business. So it takes with a goal. What do you want that business to look like? What do you want your role to look like in that business? Start small. What can you start delegating to the people in your organization already? And second of all, who do you need to hire and what skill set do they need to have so that they're able to take over the most of what you are doing on a day-to-day? So that's what we're talking about today. Build with a plan. Coach David here. Until next time, take care.